In this presentation, you will learn about positivism. Positivism is a philosophy of science that rejects metaphysical speculation in favor of systematic observation using the human senses. Positive knowledge of the world is based on generalizations from such observations that, given sufficient number and consistency, are regarded as producing laws of how phenomena coexist or occur in sequences. The doctrine of positivism was formulated by Auguste Comte, the French philosopher, who is also known for being one of the founding fathers of sociology. Positivism is regarded as the scientific understanding of society. Although positivism, as a research paradigm, concerns itself with the social sciences, it draws heavily from the natural science. Positivism, being based on the principles of natural science, argued for the study of the society driven by scientific investigation and knowledge. However, as noted by Bryant, the terms positivism and sociology are both commonly supposed to have originated with Comte, and in particular his school, the philosophy positive. Although true of the second, this is misleading with respect to the first term, insofar as Comte wrote not about positivism, but about the positive philosophy and the positive method, and Saint Simon before him had also advocated a positive philosophy. The philosophy of positivism was to solve the problems of social life, its progress by following the principles of natural science. In a general view of positivism, French philosopher Auguste Comte gives an overview of his social philosophy known as positivism. The French Revolution had deep impact on the thinking of Auguste Comte to the extent that he rejected religion, professed religion of humanity. Comte strongly felt that the scientific study of society would be the only way to solve its problems, and thus named it sociology. Based on scientific principles, Comte formulated the doctrine or philosophy of positivism mainly through his six-volume work, Course of Positive Philosophy, over a decade. Following natural science principles, Comte proposed to look at the society as being governed by its own set of laws, just as the physical sciences. He thus laid down the foundation of the scientific study of society to become popular as sociology. The uncertainty and chaos in the social life was to be resolved by the use and application of these scientific principles. Positivism in philosophy came to be associated with epistemologies which make experience the foundation of all knowledge, and also with their complementary ontologies which propose a division between objects which are accessible to observation and objects which are not. Bryant. Comte was also significantly influenced by the early intellectuals. From David Hume and Immanuel Kant, Comte derived his conception of positivism, that is, the theory that theology and metaphysics are earlier imperfect modes of knowledge, and that positive knowledge is based on natural phenomena and their properties and relations as verified by empirical sciences. From the beginning, positivism believed in the reality being accessible through our senses. Human experience plays an important role in acquiring the knowledge of reality. Thus, the validity through experience remains crucial for positivist approach. In positivism, the scientific knowledge has to be verifiable through human experience. Comte's main contribution to positivist philosophy falls into five parts: rigorous adoption of the scientific method, law of the three states or stages of intellectual development, classification of the sciences, conception of the incomplete philosophy of each of these sciences anterior to sociology, synthesis of a positivist social philosophy in a unified form. Comte's law of three stages, a theological stage, metaphysical stage, and positive stage, outline the process of human intellectual development in the history of society. The French tradition of positivism. It is well known that Comte not only coined the term sociology, but also introduced and systematized the positivist philosophy in social science. Saint Simon, in fact, provides a better starting point for an analysis of the French tradition of positivism than Comte for two reasons. He announced the great 19th century project of the construction of a positive science at the start of the century. He did so in a way that attracted admiration from Marx and Durkheim. The works of Saint Simon, Comte, and Durkheim display interconnections in their thinking and ideas. Bryant lists 12 tenets which indicate the basic characteristics of the French tradition of positivism. There is but one world and it has an objective existence. The constituents of the world and the laws which govern their movements are discoverable through science alone, science being the only form of knowledge. Therefore, that which cannot be known scientifically cannot be known. Science depends on the combination of reason and observation. Science cannot discover all the constituents of the world and all the laws which govern them because human powers of reason and observation are limited. Scientific knowledge will remain forever relative to the level of intellectual development attained and to progress in the social organization of science. What man seeks to discover about the world is normally suggested by his practical interests and his situation. There are laws of historical development whose discovery will enable the past to be explained, the present understood, and the future predicted. There are social laws which govern the interconnections between different institutional and cultural forms. Society is a reality sui generis. Social order is the natural condition of society. Moral and political choice should be established exclusively on a scientific basis. The subjection of man before the natural laws of history and society precludes evaluation of institutional and cultural forms in any terms other than those of conformity with these laws. The positive, the constructive, supersedes the negative, the critical. The positive, the relative, also supersedes the theological and metaphysical, the absolute. Central tenets of positivism. Blackie, through his meta-analysis of the literature on positivism, has presented some brief points to be incorporated as positivism's characteristics or its central tenets. They are: Phenomenalism. This rule asserts the acquisition of scientific knowledge only through human experience. Scientific knowledge is nothing but the perception by the senses, a pure experience without any cognitive interference. Nominalism. Any abstract concepts used in scientific explanation must also be derived from experience. Metaphysical notions about which it is not possible to make any observations have no legitimate existence except as names or words. Hence, the language used to describe observations must be uncontaminated by any theoretical notions. As reality or truth is believed to be observable through one's senses, any theoretical terms such as God, which is unobservable, should be considered as meaningless. Atomism. The objects of experience, of observation, are regarded as discrete, independent, atomic impressions of events which constitute the ultimate and fundamental elements of the world. Insofar as these atomic impressions are formed into generalizations, they do not refer to abstract objects in the world, only regularities among discrete events. General laws. Scientific theories are regarded as a set of highly general law-like statements. Establishing such general laws is the aim of science. These laws summarize observations by specifying simple relations or constant conjunctions between phenomena. Explanation is achieved by subsuming individual cases under appropriate laws. These laws are general in scope in that they cover a broad range of observations and are universal in form without exception across time and space. Value judgments and normative statements. Facts and values must be separated as values do not have the status of knowledge. Value statements have no empirical content that would make them susceptible to any test of their validity based on observations. Verification. The truth or falsity of any scientific statement can be settled with reference to an observable state of affairs. Scientific laws are verified by the accumulation of confirming evidence. Causation. There is no causality in nature, only regularities or constant conjunctions between events, such that events of one kind are followed by events of another kind. Therefore, if all we have are regularities between types of events, then explanation is nothing more than locating an event within a wider ranging regularity. Positivism and sociology. Positivism in sociology has come to be associated with the very idea of a social science and the quest to make sociology scientific. Positivists look at social reality as scientifically verifiable and measurable. Just as the physical world is governed by laws, human existence is also governed by certain laws that should be discovered. Therefore, sociology, from a positivist perspective, is also modeled on the laws of the natural sciences, which necessarily include logic and reasoning. As sociology deals with the scientific study of society, positivism ensures scientific explanations which are observed, verified, and logically stated of social phenomena, as it completely rejects theological or supernatural assumptions and explanations. as social actors remain important in the social phenomena. However, the positivist philosophy within sociology looks at the factual aspects of the phenomena, devoid of any subjectivity, and value judgments of the actors or the researchers. Rom, through a meta-analysis of existing literature, affirms that the positivist theory of science is not the only theory which has become incorporated into the sociological enterprise, but this theory of science and the research practice which it inspires have assumed a dominant position within sociology. Thus, the positivist pursuit of the sociological understanding of society entails understanding the causal aspects of human behavior in order to understand how society operates. Positivism in sociology shares a strange relationship. Sometimes, to be positivist means no more than being scientific, although that fails to discriminate between positivism and all the other sociologies that have claims to be scientific in perhaps different ways, such as Marxism, functionalism, structuralism, and so on. And sometimes positivist sociology is synonymous with statistical analysis, as in many sociological research reports and methods textbooks. Yet some other times, to practice positivist sociology is to seek to establish causal explanations or to search for fundamental laws of human behavior or historical change, or to insist upon objective empirical information systematically organized to generate or test hypotheses. Thus, for a positivist sociological investigation, we need necessarily an empirical basis of knowledge where direct observation leads to the theory, the place of deduction and induction in linking theory and observation, constructing a hypothesis, tentative character of scientific statements, demarcation between science and non-science, objectivity, and establishing the causality. Thank you for watching the presentation.